Picture this, an infinity pool that bleeds into the horizon, a garage housing 20 Ferraris, each worth more than your childhood home, walls wrapped in Italian marble, ceilings that soar 40 feet high, gold fixtures in every bathroom, chandeliers that cost more than a Harvard education. This is the dream, isn't it? The ultimate symbol that you've made it. The fortress at the top of the mountain where you can finally rest after conquering the world. But here's what they don't tell you in the real estate brochures. The silence in these halls isn't peaceful. It's suffocating. The owner filed for bankruptcy 3 months ago. The lights flickered off last Tuesday. And that $100 million palace you're looking at? It just sold for less than the cost of the marble in the entryway. In Bel Air, a mansion dubbed The One, a monument to excess, sprawling across 105,000 square feet, was supposed to sell for $500 million. It went to auction for $141 million, a 70% loss. The developer died before seeing his dream completed, buried under a mountain of debt that would make your eyes water.
So here's the question nobody's asking. If these mansions are the pinnacle of success, why are billionaires abandoning them? Why are the world's most expensive homes sitting empty, rotting from the inside out? Why does the dream turn into a nightmare the moment you get the keys? Today, we're ripping back the curtain. We're walking through the gilded gates and exposing the trap of the mega mansion. And I promise you, by the end of this, you'll never look at these palaces the same way again.
Let's start with a simple truth that real estate agents whisper but never shout. Buying the mansion is the cheapest part. You think dropping $50 million on property is the end game? That's just the entry fee. The real cost is what comes after. Every single day, every single hour, the house eats money even when you sleep. Take the electricity bill, not the one you're used to, the one that makes you wince when it hits $200 in summer. No. We're talking $50,000 every month. That's $600,000 a year just to keep the lights on, to power the climate control systems that regulate the temperature in rooms nobody ever enters, to maintain the heated floors in the 16 bathrooms, to run the filtration system for the Olympic-sized pool that nobody swims in. But that's just the beginning. You need a staff, not a housekeeper who comes by twice a week, a full battalion, a head butler, an estate manager, a chef, security guards working in rotating shifts because a house this visible is a target, groundskeepers to maintain the 10 acres of landscaping, pool technicians, HVAC specialists, electricians on retainer, because when something breaks in a 40,000 square foot home, you can't just call the local handyman and hope for the best. The salaries? Easily $500,000 to over $1 million per year. These aren't part-time workers, they're full-time employees with benefits, insurance, and God forbid severance packages when you realize you can't afford them anymore. Then there's maintenance, and this is where it gets ugly. That imported stone facade you loved in the photos, it needs specialized cleaning and treatment, $20,000 a year. The smart home system controlling everything from the curtains to the security cameras, it requires constant updates and a dedicated IT professional, $30,000 annually. The elevator that carries you from the basement wine cellar to the rooftop helipad, $15,000 per year in inspections and repairs. The roof alone on a mansion this size can cost $500,000 to replace. The HVAC system, another $2 million when it inevitably fails because you're climate controlling the square footage of a shopping mall. One mega mansion owner in Los Angeles discovered a small leak in his infinity pool. Small problem, right? Wrong. The leak was in the foundation. The repair required draining the pool, jackhammering through reinforced concrete, and rebuilding the entire hydraulic system. Final cost? $1.2 million for a leak. And here's the kicker. The house eats money even when you're not there. Most of these mega mansion owners spend maybe 30 days a year in these properties. The rest of the time, they're traveling, working, living in their other homes. But the bills don't stop. The staff still needs to be paid. The systems still need to run. Because if you let a house like this sit dormant, it starts to die. Pipes freeze, mold grows in the walls, gardens turn into jungles. A house this size requires constant life support. Property taxes? Let's not forget those. On a $100 million mansion in California, you're looking at over $1 million per year, every year, forever, whether the property value goes up, down, or sideways. One real estate analyst put it bluntly: owning a mega mansion is like keeping a yacht on land. It's a financial black hole that swallows cash and gives back nothing but headaches and status anxiety. The truly wealthy understand something the merely rich don't. These houses aren't investments, they're liabilities. They're money incinerators wrapped in marble and glass. Now let's talk about the houses that never even get lived in. Walk down Billionaires Row in Manhattan, 57th Street. The towers pierce the sky like glass needles, each apartment costing $20, $50, $100 million. Penthouse views that would make gods jealous. And yet, at night, something strange happens. The lights don't turn on. Floor after floor sits dark. 60% of these units are empty. Not vacant between owners, just empty. Or drive through Bel Air, Holmby Hills, Beverly Park. Mansions the size of hotels, sitting behind gates, lawns perfectly manicured, not a soul inside. Some of these properties haven't been occupied in years. They're not homes, they're safety deposit boxes, vaults for storing wealth that can't be easily traced, taxed, or seized. Here's how it works. An oligarch in Moscow needs to move $40 million out of Russia before the government decides to take a closer look at how he made his fortune. He can't just wire it to a Swiss bank anymore. Too many red flags, too much scrutiny. So he buys a penthouse in New York through a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. The money is laundered clean. The property sits empty. Maybe he visits once a year, maybe never. It doesn't matter. The house isn't for living, it's for hiding. The same pattern repeats in London, Dubai, Hong Kong, Los Angeles. Mega mansions purchased by anonymous LLCs, trusts, offshore entities. The real owners? You'll never know. Could be a tech billionaire, could be a corrupt politician, could be a cartel leader. The house doesn't care. It just sits there, a monument to dirty money dressed up as luxury real estate. But even when these houses are engineering marvels, they're often engineering disasters. Take the super tall residential towers in New York, buildings so tall and thin they sway in the wind. Not a little, a lot. Residents report feeling seasick on windy days. Doors won't close properly because the building is literally bending. Elevators malfunction because the cables can't handle the constant motion. One penthouse owner in a building that cost nearly $100 million to construct filed a lawsuit claiming the building moved so much it caused chronic anxiety and made the apartment uninhabitable. Or look at the one in Bel Air, the house that was supposed to redefine luxury. During construction, the infinity pool started leaking. Not after years of use. During construction, the foundation cracked because the hillside soil couldn't support the weight. The developer had to spend millions reinforcing the structure. But by then, the damage was done. Buyers took one look at the engineering reports and ran. Another mega mansion in Florida, built on reclaimed wetland, started sinking within 2 years. Subtle at first. A crack here, a door that won't close there. Then the floors started tilting. The foundation was literally being swallowed by the earth. The owner spent $8 million trying to stabilize it before finally walking away. The house was demolished. $8 million of repairs, $30 million of initial construction, all turned to rubble because someone wanted an oceanfront palace and ignored the fact that nature doesn't care about your dreams. High-rise penthouses face another nightmare: plumbing. When you're 80 floors up, water pressure becomes an engineering puzzle. Pipes burst, toilets don't flush properly. One penthouse owner in Miami experienced a sewage backup that flooded 3 floors of his apartment. The smell was so bad, the building had to be evacuated for a week. Insurance paid for the cleanup,
but refuse to cover the emotional distress. These aren't homes, they're experiments in excess that failed before the first owner moved in. And the people who bought them, they're paying for the privilege of living in a construction disaster wrapped in luxury branding.
But let's say you can afford all of this. Let's say the money isn't a problem. The bills get paid, the staff is taken care of, the house runs like clockwork. There's still one cost nobody mentions until it's too late: the loneliness. Imagine waking up in a bedroom the size of most people's entire homes. You walk down a hallway that echoes with every footstep. You pass rooms you haven't entered in months. A library with 10,000 books you'll never read. A home theater that seats 20 but only ever sees you. A dining room table that could host a state dinner, but you eat breakfast alone, scrolling through your phone while your coffee gets cold. One former mega mansion owner described it like this: living there felt like being the last person on Earth. You could go days without seeing another human being if you wanted to. And the silence, God, the silence. It wasn't peaceful, it was oppressive, like the house was swallowing every sound, every emotion, every bit of life you had left.
Families drift apart in houses this big. The kids sleep in one wing, the parents in another. You don't bump into each other making breakfast. You don't gather in the living room because there are 7 living rooms and everyone picks a different one. Connection requires planning. Intimacy becomes scheduled. You need to literally text your spouse to figure out which part of the house they're in. Psychologists have a term for this: environmental isolation. The space is so vast, it creates psychological distance even between people who love each other. Couples divorce, parents lose touch with their children, and everyone wonders how they ended up feeling so alone in a house that was supposed to represent having everything. Then there's the paranoia. When you live in a $100 million mansion, you become a target. Kidnapping, home invasion, stalkers. It's not paranoia if the threat is real. So you hire security, armed guards, surveillance cameras covering every inch of the property, facial recognition software, panic rooms with reinforced steel doors and independent air supplies.
You can't have friends over without vetting them first. Your children can't play in the yard without security watching. Every delivery, every visitor, every contractor who comes to fix something is a potential threat. You're not living in a home, you're living in a fortress. And fortresses are lonely, cold places. One billionaire in Silicon Valley had a 12-foot wall built around his property, then added motion sensors, then thermal cameras, then guard dogs. He told a reporter, "I built this place to feel safe, but I've never felt more trapped. I can't walk outside without worrying someone's watching. I can't trust anyone who comes near. I wake up at 3 in the morning checking the security feeds. This isn't a home, it's a prison." And the truly disturbing part? Many mega mansion owners don't even live in them full time. They bounce between properties, hotels, friends' houses, anywhere that doesn't feel like the albatross around their neck. The mansion becomes a symbol not of success, but of everything wrong with their lives. The marriage that fell apart, the kids who don't call anymore, the emptiness that no amount of square footage can fill.
There's a reason billionaires are fleeing these properties. It's not just the money. It's the realization that they've built monuments to isolation, temples to loneliness, and no amount of gold fixtures or infinity pools can change the fact that at the end of the day, you're just a person living in way too much house, wondering how you ended up here and if there's any way out. So here we are, the dream mansion, the pinnacle of success. The house that screams, "I made it," from every imported marble surface and hand-carved wood panel. And yet, across the world, billionaires are walking away, selling at massive losses, or worse, just abandoning them entirely, letting the banks and the decay fight over what's left. Because here's the truth they don't put in the brochures. A house is meant to be a home, a place where you feel safe, connected, at peace. Not a museum you maintain, not a vault where you store wealth, not a construction project that never ends, and definitely not a prison that isolates you from everything and everyone you care about. The mega mansion isn't a symbol of success, it's a trap, a beautiful, expensive, soul-crushing trap that promises everything and delivers nothing but bills, loneliness, and regret. The maintenance costs that never stop, the engineering failures that turn dream homes into money pits, the empty rooms that echo with everything you've lost, the security measures that turn your home into a fortress and you into a prisoner, the realization that you're paying millions of dollars a year to be miserable in the most expensive way possible. And maybe that's the final lesson here. You can't buy happiness. You can't buy peace. You can't connection or meaning or the feeling of home. All the concrete and glass and gold in the world won't change the fact that at the end of the day, we're all just people looking for a place where we belong. The billionaires are figuring this out, some faster than others. They're selling the mansions, downsizing, moving into homes that feel like homes instead of monuments to excess. They're realizing that success isn't measured in square footage or the number of cars in your garage. It's measured in the people you love and the peace you feel when you close your eyes at night. So the next time you see one of these mega mansions on a hilltop gleaming in the sun, remember, behind those gates, behind those walls, behind all that marble and glass, there's probably nobody home. Just empty rooms, unpaid bills, and the ghost of a dream that turned into a nightmare. Because in the end, all this concrete and glass cannot buy peace. And that's the dark reality they'll never tell you.